Time awakens here, where water remembers every birth. Faith begins as a spark carried by the river of eggs.
Between water and sky, the soul learns to breathe light.
The city hums with centuries, each stone a whispered prayer.
From dust and devotion, civilization takes its fragile shape.
The earth itself begins to dream in sacred geometry. Silence guards the first heartbeat of human order.
Symbols rise a kite, the language of faith before words were born.
In each flame, the promise of eternity burns quietly. Above all kingdoms, the mountains keep the silence of creation.
Sound becomes prayer, and prayer becomes the rhythm of time.
The divine takes shape, not in power, but in grace. The journey of spirit begins with footsteps of humility.
The universe breathe through India's eternal meditation.
Rhythm becomes memory. Memory becomes destiny.
Every ending here is only the start of another creation. The past is not gone. It sleeps beneath every breath.
Purity rises from struggle, untouched by the depths below.
From sacred soil to empire, the pulse of a nation begins. This is India La, where time flows.
Here, the first rhythm of human order began to breathe.
The bull watches across millennia, Hufoshak, guardian of silent prosperity.
Rivers carry not just water, they carry memory and myth.
Art is prayer in motion, hands repeating the dance of stars.
Civilization grows from symmetry, faith, and fire.
Even in ruins, life finds melody among broken stones. Darkness listens to fire, the first dialogue of gods and men. Dance becomes scripture when silence learns to move.
Symbols outlive kings. They speak in the breath of eternity. Trade follows faith. Silk, spice, and story weave the same road. To name the stars is to remember the gods within us.
What glows above glows below trouble. As heaven, so civilization. Order becomes faith when survival turns to beauty.
From stone to spirit, color teaches us the meaning of time.
Greatness whispers goodbye before history forgets its name.
From silence, another civilization begins to dream.
Strangers arrive not as conquerors, but as carriers of song.
The world is spoken.
The first scriptures hum like wind between earth and heaven.
Each face a verse
Offering light to light, they teach the cosmos to remember. In every ritual, a star learns its name again.
Sound becomes silence, and silence becomes wisdom.
Knowledge begins as a child's echo across eternity.
The flame does not burn, it remembers.
Color becomes devotion when touch becomes faith.
The river listens faith, carrying man's prayers into the unknown.
Dawn answers every prayer, though no one hears it speak.
From dust to fire, India begins to find its soul.
Night itself becomes sacred when silence learns to sing.
Truth hides not in cities, but in the breath between storms.
Nature speaks in rhythms older than scripture. Even thunder was once a hymn to unseen gods.
The circle is endless. The lesson never ends.
Impermanence in self becomes the teacher of peace. Light hides in small things, waiting to be found again.
Knowledge returns inward trace, the universe within the breath.
To know oneself is to hear the silence between all sounds.
Surrender becomes the highest form of strength.
The land itself becomes scripture, each river a verse of light. The heavens mirror the devotion of earthbound hearts. Sound is creation, vibration that never dies. Unity begins with a gesture that joins heaven and earth.
Every harvest is a hymn sung by the soil. The cycle of life hums with sacred precision.
Stone remembers the shape of every forgotten god.
Death is not an ending. It's the echo of life continuing.
Wisdom travels by voice, not by throne.
Light descends, not as mercy poured, but as memory fulfilled.
Civilization breathes again food, calm, eternal, reborn. In silence, the forest becomes the first classroom of truth. Knowledge blooms in spirals, never straight, never still. The future begins
in echoes that remember their.
Even rain carries the memory of words once sung.
Nature listens as man learns to name the unseen.
Fire becomes the bridge,
where matter kisses divinity.
Faith is light, remembering what darkness forgot.
Prosperity walks with patience can, guided by rhythm and rain.
The river is both mother and mirror, kind, ancient, forgiving, infinite.
Strength without purpose becomes merely wind. Order seeks wisdom, not conquest, Fahim. A kingdom born of reason.
Motion becomes destiny. The road itself a teacher.
Words become weapons, sharper than any blade.
To give is to remember. To burn is to bless.
Beauty becomes worship when light meets craftsmanship.
Truth hides in proportion, Dan. Symmetry as devotion.
The heavens answer Asir, not in words, but in rhythm.
Between dust and divinity, the self learns humility.
Reflection teaches that light and shadow are one.
Joy is devotion when shared with earth.
Preservation is love extended through time.
The cosmos listens, ancient and endlessly patient.
The universe breathes through sacred syllables.
Every heart holds a piece of the divine fire. Worship is simply beauty returning to its source.
Learning flows like water, pure, without end.
Faith wanders where memory cannot. Even silence is alive in the heart of the forest.
Sound ascends as offering, vibration that joins worlds. One syllable contains all creation, past and yet to come.
Impermanence is the softest teacher of truth. To see oneself clearly is the beginning of freedom.
Mountains stand as the silence of gods made visible.
The body fades, the wisdom stays, echoing beyond flesh.
What disappears may still perfume the world.
Language becomes sculpture, thought eternal in stone.
Meditation is memory, folding inward toward light.
Each small glow carries a fragment of the cosmic flame.
Humanity reflects the stars it once feared.
The hum of creation hides in every ordinary act.
Nature breathes the same rhythm as prayer.
Purity flows from giving, not from gold.
The divine needs no roof only reverence. The gods live in the shimmer between belief and breath.
Words are seeds, light makes them bloom.
Every sound is the sky, remembering its own song.
Freedom takes flight when devotion learns wings.
Reality is a mirror, every truth half water, half flame.
Innocence itself is the first form of prayer.
Evening teaches peace. All journeys lead inward.
Depth reveals devotion more than height ever could.
Light learns the language of the stars it imitates.
Knowledge sleeps until a voice awakens it again.
Even wisdom must bow to the patience of rain.
Darkness teaches us to listen, not to see.
Beauty surrenders to impermanence fervor, yet remains eternal.
Thought dissolves, leaving only awareness behind.
The river carries everything: grief, glory, and grace.
From river to cosmos, India awakens to its eternal dream. From dust of belief, an empire of spirit begins to rise. Strength here walks not for conquest, but for order and light.
Power learns its grace beneath the discipline of silence.
Even the mightiest heart trembles before the cost of power.
Victory tastes of ashes when mercy is forgotten.
The Emperor begins his greatest war against his own anger.
Compassion grows only where sorrow once bloomed.
Peace is not surrender. It is awakening.
Enlightenment whispers only to hearts that have burned.
To rule oneself is greater than to rule a world.
Justice roars, not through fear, Alned, but through conscience.
Words become monuments when truth needs no army.
The message moves faster than the sword ever could.
Every ascent is both a journey and a prayer.
Ocean without malice Penuve, the symbol of a new world.
Faith becomes architecture, Blockerman, the visible face of devotion. Serenity is power disguised as stillness.
Art becomes meditation when color breathes with purpose.
Wisdom is the only treasure that grows when shared.
Purity is not separation, it is understanding.
Words on cloth travel further than empires.
Light speaks softly, yet conquers darkness with grace.
Prosperity flows when peace becomes the currency of kings.
The heart of Dharma beats beyond all borders. Knowledge rules where swords fall silent.
Beauty is truth wearing the mask of patience.
To measure the stars is to glimpse the mind of creation.
From nothingness, the universe begins to count itself.
Sound itself becomes the bridge between thought and eternity.
Abundance follows those who live in rhythm with the rain.
Labor is holy when done with gratitude.
Poetry is memory carved in breath. Harmony proves civilization more than conquest ever could.
Every movement writes a scripture of grace.
History paints itself in the colors of devotion.
Music is emotion's echo, returning home.
Every deed is a seed, on Fuhan. Every seed remembers.
The unseen listens, always.
Trade is faith, disguised as distance.
The true pilgrim carries no weapon but compassion.
Knowledge is the empire that never falls.
Healing is science shaped by empathy.
Curiosity is worship with open eyes.
Stone breathes art when touched by faith.
Stillness can move mountains when painted with love.
Prosperity sings when justice holds the throne.
Civilization glides like water, long, graceful, unstoppable.
Joy is the empire of the heart.
Wisdom multiplies when it learns to speak every tongue.
Faith travels faster than wind when carried by purpose.
Ideas, not armies, shape the horizon. Curiosity becomes sacred when it seeks truth, not victory.
Knowledge grows strongest when shared like song.
The hand that writes carries the weight of eternity.
Thought builds temples taller than any spire.
Divinity looks like us when love shapes the chisel.
Celebration is the soul remembering it is alive.
Gratitude turns motion into meaning.
Harmony is the true wealth of nations.
Non-violence is the sword that conquers all.
Time repeats, yet wisdom remembers.
Peace builds its empire, where trees become walls.
Every tone reminds heaven of its own heartbeat.
The horizon listens, carrying their faith beyond.
Creation is art, remembering its own maker.
Enlightenment stands quietly at the center of chaos.
Dharma is balance. Each life a note in one song.
Beauty drifts freely upon, belonging to no one.
The past whispers, not to haunt, but to guide.
India becomes not a land, but an idea of harmony.
Every echo carries the memory of intention.
Heaven leans close to listen when faith speaks softly.
Light multiplied is hope made visible.
Myth becomes history when love preserves its rhythm. Grandeur without greed becomes grace.
The law of balance, written again by mortal hands.
Philosophy flows like water, shaping all that it touches.
Time glitters briefly tolly, then returns to silence. Above and below Prithvi, creation reflects itself forever.
Tranquility is nature's quiet form of worship.
The path of truth is endless, yet never lonely.
Life itself becomes divine through craft.
Freedom begins when fear forgets his name.
Wisdom's last act is silence, written in light.
Knowledge sleeps, waiting for new eyes. Connection is the truest architecture of peace.
Power fades. Legacy remains in mercy.
Night does not end truth, Travers. It only tests it.
The roar of righteousness never needs volume. Heaven's tears wash away pride, leaving only devotion. Renewal is the quietest revolution.
Faith builds bridges between air and stone.
Light unites the empire more deeply than law. Civilization breathes again through the pulse of Dharma.
Reverence becomes the heartbeat of a nation. Water carries prayers into the infinite. From Earth to cosmos, India glows like a thought fulfilled.
Harmony is the true crown of humanity.
The wheel turns forever,
Peace remains its center.
This was the Golden Age, Engao, when wisdom ruled as king.
From beyond the mountains, strangers arrive, carrying thunder and curiosity.
The wind of conquest carries both destruction and discovery.
Even the blade remembers the peace it divides.
War speaks the same language in every tongue. Sorrow.
Faith survives by standing still when empires move.
Wisdom receives power, not through fear, but through patience.
Knowledge travels faster
Than armies ever can.
Gods meet, and neither demands to rule the other.
The silk winds carry silk, salt, and stories alike.
The world begins to weave itself through roads of faith. Influence becomes beauty when shared, not stolen.
Power shifts, but value always shines from creation.
Commerce and compassion speak the same tongue.
Even mountains cannot halt the flow of human dreams.
Between journeys, the soul learns to rest. Art unites what history divides.
Two worlds meet in silence, creating beauty neither planned.
Truth has many names, but only one echo.
Time erases lines men carve in sand.
The conqueror becomes a listener when sound softens his heart.
Trade is the heartbeat of peace, disguised as motion.
Earth turns to light in the hands of craftsmen.
Aroma travels further than ambition ever could.
Blessings cross borders where armies cannot. The ocean listens to the footsteps of every traveler. Departure itself is faith. To leave is to trust the horizon.
The world becomes smaller when wisdom grows larger.
The stars unite what kingdoms divide.
Peace must always learn to be reborn.
Even chaos carries destiny in its saddle. The future trembles in parchment before it burns.
Empires breathe the same air peak and share the same end. Knowledge dies loudly, Nepenthe, yet always returns in whispers.
Hope hides in hands that choose to save instead of flee.
What survives is what the heart refuses to lose.
The light always waits behind the ruin.
The seed is stronger than the sword.
Life insists, Gan. Softly, beautifully, endlessly.
Creation is the revenge of the gentle. Civilization breathes anew, quiet, patient, eternal.
The wind carries more unity than treaties ever could.
Faith travels both ways along the same road.
Time itself becomes a traveler under the setting sun.
Words meet as rivers meet, each enriching the other.
Stone remembers every gaze of devotion. Grandeur is humility raised to the scale of mountains. The world's edges touch in the sound of prayer.
Stillness follows even the farthest traveler.
Inspiration crosses borders in silence.
The silk winds whisper India's name into eternity. Blending creates beauty that pure lines cannot.
Harmony is the truest language of empire.
Balance becomes art, where difference becomes grace. Renewal descends gently, never asking permission.
Wisdom speaks louder when the world rages.
The land remembers peace as a promise, not a past.
Legends keep hope alive when memory fades.
The universe hides in every small light.
Movement becomes memory of centuries in motion. Creation shines brighter after surviving the storm.
Every voyage ends where gratitude begins.
Illumination is rebellion against the night. Devotion is inheritance, written in silence. Purity rebuilds what conquest breaks. The river knows a lane. Everything passes, yet returns.
Civilization breathes in rhythm, not rule. Connection itself becomes the new empire.
To remember is the highest act of creation. Every journey leaves behind the scent of eternity.
The silk winds rest rhythm, carrying tomorrow's seeds.
Peace arrives unseen, like daw upon ruins. Renewal wears the face of remembrance.
Reflection teaches the soul its true size. Every risk is a ritual of faith.
Unity is the quietest miracle.
The sky becomes the oldest classroom.
Life moves in patterns too vast for fear.
Faith needs no throne, only breath.
The land unites, the soul remembers. From dusk to dawn, the spirit of India endures.
The cosmos itself turns with the pulse of compassion.
Voices of the past linger like perfume upon time.
Glory and grace finally learn to kneel together.
Memory becomes color pink, soft, human, divine.
Joy, too, is an act of defiance.
The world still breathes India's ancient hymn. Civilization endures not by conquest, but by compassion. What travels on is never lost, pure pain, only transformed.
Every word saved is a victory against forgetting.
From storm to stillness, the light survives.
The heavens remember always.
Peace returns as quietly as it left.
Light connects heaven and earth through stone. The journey never ends. It only changes travelers.
Even the smallest flame guards the memory of suns.
Softness is strength, they, yielding yet eternal.
The sound of history never truly stops.
Humanity is one story written in many alphabets.
Memory drifts like wind, high, unseen, immortal.
From dust and wind, a new empire of light is born.
The morning unveils a new empire of breath and stone.
Beauty marches beside power when vision leads the crown. True strength moves quietly, certain of its purpose.
Empire becomes art when discipline meets dream.
Stone breathes poetry when touched by faith.
Perfection is worship shaped by human hands.
Language becomes silk when woven with soul.
The greatest ruler learns by silence, not
Tolerance shines brighter than conquest. Here, truth wears many names, yet speaks one heart.
Color remembers the heavens it once came from.
Art captures what time dares not touch.
Music turns architecture into breath. Power finds peace only in reflection. Freedom is the empire that outlives kings. Luxury becomes luminous when paired with learning.
Portraits preserve not faces, but faith in memory.
Nature obeys order when love designs its form.
Light becomes law where wisdom rules.
Beauty rests, preparing to become legend.
Love watches the world and decides to outlast it.
Between two hearts, eternity takes shape.
Happiness hums loudest before history grows quiet.
Even love must face the season of loss.
Grief becomes the architect of immortality.
He draws not a tomb, but a promise to time. Devotion lifts every hammer higher than command.
Creation becomes chorus, every strike a prayer.
Architecture dreams in the language of light.
The earth holds its breath before perfection.
Beauty speaks softly above, but forever. The sun crowns love with its own radiance. Heaven bows where devotion becomes stone. Creation fulfills, yet empties its creator.
Even eternity shivers when love remembers. Time polishes sorrow into serenity. Captivity loses meaning when the heart still dreams.
Love's light refuses to flicker, even in silence.
Letting go becomes the final act of love.
Death bows before beauty, made of devotion.
Empires fall, elegance endures.
Spirit turns in circles, seeking the still center.
Verse becomes bridge between mortal and divine.
Strength, wrapped in beauty, becomes civilization.
Innocence guards what history forgets.
Music teaches the stars to dance again. Art transcends origin he. It belongs to wonder. Faith finds its direction in beauty.
Creation is the quiet rebellion of grace.
The empire breathes in rhythm with the breeze. Even devotion casts shadows when bound by rule. Tolerance fades when faith forgets humility.
Fear returns where music once lived.
The divine survives underground when light retreats.
The heavens mourn every kingdom's pride.
Darkness always asks to be remembered.
Purity tests itself in the flood of grief.
No power escapes the breath of time.
Beauty waits, patient, for peace to return.
Light returns. It always does.
Memory itself becomes the monument of hope.
History breathes through laughter, not lineage.
Unity flickers in every shared flame. Difference dissolves in the beauty of coexistence. Knowledge returns to its roots through understanding.
Renewal is art remembering its own light.
Everyday grace rebuilds what empires lost.
Silence inherits the throne when pride has passed.
Faith returns as music when words cannot heal.
Love outlasts marble. Beauty outlives power.
Renewal begins where rain meets memory.
Freedom never forgets its nest.
The earth forgives before men do.
Life reclaims what fear abandoned.
The future draws from ruins, quietly, beautifully.
The river carries devotion beyond centuries.
Love becomes legend when retold with tenderness.
Perfection humbles even the heavens. Day ends, but beauty does not.
History sleeps inside its own reflection.
Civilization is harmony made visible.
Beauty writes softly, but forever.
Motion itself becomes meditation.
Light carves temples from thin air.
Art never ends. It only changes rhythm.
Water remembers every empire's reflection.
Listen. Love needs no audience to endure.
Night itself bows before beauty this pure. The song of Mughal India drifts into eternity. What was built of love can never decay. Every lamp burns with the memory of an empire.
Time kneels before devotion made eternal. The subcontinent glows like a prayer fulfilled. Coexistence dawns brighter than conquest.
Diversity sings the anthem of the soul.
Purity survives every empire's dust.
Beauty continues the story where words end.
Love, not power, is the crown of eternity. From splendor to sorrow, the dawn of change begins. From the sea of silver light, new shadows arrive.
Every arrival carries both promise and peril.
Flags rise easily. Freedom falls quietly. Power walks in silence, cloaked in order.
Pride bends before greed, dressed as governance.
Empires are built not in battle, but in signatures.
Wealth forgets its soul when weighed in suffering.
Beauty enslaved becomes the sorrow of nations.
Industry hums where humanity falls silent.
Lines on paper wound deeper than swords.
Fear walks with polished boots.
Faith trembles, yet refuse to flee.
Innocence begins the revolution of remembrance.
The conqueror sits where the poet once dreamed.
Smoke replaces song as progress forgets its heart.
The smallest grain can challenge empires.
Fire begins as a murmur carried by courage.
Hope hides in the hands of the desperate.
Freedom bleeds before it learns to breathe.
Rebellion roars, then falls to the silence of steel. Pain becomes the anthem of the forgotten.
Stone yields to power, but not to justice.
Love defies empire by surviving it. Defeat whispers the seed of future strength.
Even death becomes an offering when freedom is faith.
Silence, too, is a protest.
Triumph without mercy is merely twilight. Storms remember what men try to forget. Words rebuild what war erased.
Art turns grief into eternal grace.
Freedom returns, first as rhythm, then as fire.
Education becomes rebellion when silence becomes unbearable.
Revolution hums in the thread of simplicity.
Power trembles before the unarmed.
Blood turns cotton into scripture.
Step by step, the earth learns freedom again. The smallest gesture echoes louder than cannon fire.
Truth travels faster than tyranny.
Hope learns to sow, even in the dark.
Courage wears no crown. It simply burns.
Captivity cannot contain conviction.
The imprisoned heart is still the freest place on earth.
Voices weave the tapestry of awakening.
Ink becomes revolution disguised as hope.
Non-violence roars like thunder wrapped in silence. Nature sides with those who endure.
Vision passes from patience to purpose.
Freedom learns its own name aloud.
Simplicity becomes the sound of defiance.
Power ends with a handshake that feels like surrender.
Peace walks slow on Ruwanan, but farther.
Joy trembles, unsure it is real.
Freedom arrives not with roar, but with relief.
The sky itself celebrates redemption.
The victor still prays for forgiveness.
Freedom divides even as it heals.
Liberation bleeds into loss.
Pain returns as the price of rebirth.
Peace demands presence in places no one wants to go. The strongest surrender is forgiveness.
Unity returns on the breath of soul.
Great souls never notice their final morning.
Even light casts a shadow before rising again.
Death cannot silence what was spoken in love.
The river receives him, carrying peace downstream.
A nation reborn through tears of light.
Freedom is fragile. Nurture it with reason.
Greatness begins again in small hands. The loom hums the anthem of tomorrow.
Education plants roots deeper than empire ever reached.
Movement itself becomes hope. Life forgives faster than history.
Simplicity returns as silent strength.
Unity learns to live where blood once flowed.
The future begins again, warm in her hands.
From shadow to light, India breathes once more.
A million hearts beat as one, uncertain yet unbroken.
From ruins, the alphabet of hope is written anew. Kindness moves quieter than power, yet builds stronger nations.
Everyday labor becomes the quiet hymn of independence. The name, once forbidden, now echoes proudly in dust.
Ocean returns where borders once bled.
Curiosity becomes the new rebellion.
The thread continues, weaving light through loss.
The land forgives through growth.
The voice of a nation learns to speak itself.
Words travel faster than walls can rise.
The dream becomes real in young ears.
History exhales decay. The tide turns inward.
The martyr's silence becomes the nation's conscience. Harmony hums louder than any anthem.
Heaven itself blesses the newborn republic.
Pride unfurls where fear once lingered. Dusk reminds freedom to remain humble. Light multiplies. Shadows finally surrender.
The earth itself whispers, "You are free."
Freedom arrives divided, yet still divine. Migration becomes the wound history cannot hide. Home becomes a memory carried by faith.
Fire devours names faster than nations can write them.
Grief learns to stand before it will weep.
Hope survives inside tents of hunger.
The body ends, the spirit begins again.
The soil forgives faster than men.
Knowledge replaces vengeance as the new rebellion.
Progress begins where patience meets purpose. A nation rebuilds with bare hands and borrowed dreams. Ambition looks upward after centuries of looking within.
Empowerment begins in the whisper of words.
Hope hums through every corner of the newborn world.
The harvest returns, where faith still sows.
Modernity glows softly across ancient dust.
Freedom learns to laugh again.
Memory guides the living through uncertain dawn.
Even peace must guard itself against silence.
Courage burns brightest in the coldest sky. Loss writes its own anthem in snow.
Greatness grieves in private. Every sacrifice feeds the dawn, unseen.
Change begins not with command, but with dawn.
Leadership returns, clothed in flame.
The future hums with engines of determination.
Equality walks softly, but changes the sound of power.
Progress becomes rhythm, relentless and radiant.
History's old wound bleeds once more.
Decisions born of compassion shape the destiny of millions.
Even through uncertainty, hope listens for tomorrow.
Triumph feels quiet when grief still lingers.
From division, a new light emerges.
Even victory demands its own mourning.
Life never waits for history to rest.
Justice begins where fear ends. Where fear ends.
The nation reinvents itself on it again and again.
When harmony speaks, even silence listens. Sky becomes the next scripture. Dreams find direction in flame.
Blessings return disguised as science.
Knowledge expands borders no empire can close.
Tradition and modernity share the same breath.
Power feels loneliest beside legacy.
Grief visits again. Punyad, uninvited, unrelenting.
The spirit of a leader lives on in every flame that refuses to fade.
Life continues, Tand, fragile, unbroken, infinite.
Renewal arrives softly, carried by the morning wind. India connects its past through the wires of tomorrow. Innovation hums where incense once rose.
Abundance returns, humming with contradiction.
Faith adapts
without surrendering.
The child dreams what the sage once prayed.
Progress glitters even through chaos.
The world finally sees what India always knew: fund, endurance.
Diversity becomes the new definition of strength.
A billion lives moving to one heartbeat.
The flame that led returns to light. Loss visits again, but so does resolve.
Change begins in numbers, but lives in hearts. Prosperity speaks in the language of motion.
Flight becomes the metaphor of faith. The nation matures beneath its own monsoon.
Tradition evolves without losing melody.
Knowledge multiplies faster than fear.
Distance dissolves when voices reach every home.
The many faces of India form one horizon. Unity survives because it never stops breathing. Liberty endures not in symbols, but in service. Every generation inherits both flame and faith.
The land still prays in its own language.
The sea repeats, freedom is movement. Connection becomes the soul of progress. Faith continues where history ends.
Renewal is the quietest revolution.
Diversity dances, unity listens.
From sorrow to sunrise, the spirit stands eternal.
Patriotism softens when sung by children.
The sun becomes the new revolution.
The dream now touches the stars. The future arrives through light. Storytelling becomes the nation's universal language.
Unity finds joy in simple victory.
The past reflects in every pain of progress.
Ocean itself is the prayer of survival.
The nation dreams through its children.
From division to devotion, India becomes whole again.
Every age leaves light for the next to follow.
Progress kneels before peace. Diversity is not difference, it's destiny.
Light returns where faith remains.
The heart of India beats in every color.
Freedom renews itself each morning.
Hope flies highest when untied from fear.
Time carries the melody. India keeps the rhythm.
The world looks down and sees a living miracle.
From freedom and division, unity becomes eternal light.
Light returns where it was never gone.
The sacred flows Titian, not backward, but beyond.
Joy itself is the oldest ritual. The present bows to the ancient with every breath.
Silence remains India's truest voice.
The spirit of discovery rises from the soil of devotion. The prayer of earth ascends into space.
Wonder replaces fear in the eyes of the new age.
Progress wears many faces sky, all shining with intent. Light now flows through hands once unseen.
Motion has become the nation's meditation. Tradition sells beside innovation, both sacred.
Storytelling becomes the mirror of a billion souls.
The nation dreams itself in motion pictures. Light remembers its origin through celebration.
Hope multiplies with every flame shared. The infinite hides within the smallest glow.
Abundance returns where gratitude waits.
Renewal is devotion disguised as duty.
Every ascent is a prayer without words. Enlightenment never left. It simply changed its sky. Peace needs no permission to return.
Faith meets faith through music, not conquest.
Harmony breathes where contradiction sleeps. Unity glows brightest in diversity.
Culture lives in color more than in time.
Memory paints the future in familiar tones.
Joy is the empire without borders.
Wisdom survives best when spoken aloud.
The future already remembers its light.
Power softens when tempered by purpose.
Connection itself becomes a sacred act.
The spiritual and the structural walk hand in hand.
The nation becomes a heartbeat in the planet's pulse.
Every gesture
remembers eternity.
Silence paints landscapes words cannot reach. Beauty endures, even under division's frost.
Peace is patience given form.
Light travels where footsteps cannot. Nature forgives faster than politics.
Hope plays even among ruins.
Chaos choreographs itself into rhythm.
Music unites what centuries divided.
Memory stands guard against forgetting.
Sacrifice glows quietly beneath celebration.
Abundance is gratitude multiplied.
The land still sings the hymn of creation.
Joy has always been India's reply to pain.
The modern glows through the memory of the divine.
Even storms remember to bow to light.
Knowledge changes tools, not purpose.
Humanity's next step begins where prayer once stood.
Dreams now wear fire and precision.
The heavens return India's gaze.
Light has many forms, but one source.
The people become the pageantry of peace.
Technology bows too before the sacred.
The message echoes louder than the walls it's written on.
Celebration paints the sky with belonging.
The nation glows Nanfu, alive, ancient, eternal.
Stillness speaks after centuries of sound.
Motion inspires memory to keep creating.
Time softens for those who never hurry.
The next generation rewrites pain into promise.
A civilization older than time still breathes.
The sea repeats the story the sky began.
Every soul returns to the light it came from.
Past, present, and future dissolve into one silence.
Eternity finds its reflection in this land of faith.
From river to cosmos, India breathes eternity.